Uh, yeah. Again, thank you so much for your time. How are you feeling today? How's your day been so far?
Yeah, my day's good. I'm in the Eastern Cape. I'm not sure where you are. Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Joburg. I'm actually in
Oh, in
the,
Joburg. Okay, I was in Joburg yesterday. I was in Joburg yesterday. Just a quick visit. But yeah, I'm good. The sun is shining. It's been a busy day, so all good.
no, I know, cool. Michelle, first things first, can you just tell us about yourself, who you are, tell us a bit about, your background.
Okay, I think first and foremost, I will say I'm a healer.
Hmm.
And I work with different healing modalities that I have learned over the years, over about 3 decades now.
Um,
My healing journey started very young. When I was a little girl, I used to heal everyone in the neighborhood. They would come to me with their cuts and their grazes and their scrapes. And I just knew that I was going to be a healer. I studied Ayurvedic medicine, and that's still something that's quite unheard of, although it's the most ancient form of healing on the planet. It's about 10,000 years old. Most people are familiar with yoga. Yoga is an Ayurvedic practice. You hear people, everybody's starting to talk about things like ashwagandha and ginseng. These are all Ayurvedic medicines. So these ancient practices are now coming back, and that forms part of what we're going to talk about when we talk about the spiritual stuff.
yeah.
So Ayurvedic medicine comes from ancient India.
Hmm.
And then next up is Chinese medicine, and that's been around for about 3,000 years. And then the baby in the bunch is our Western medicine that we know today, our allopathic medicine. So I
Okay.
studied Ayurvedic medicine many, many years ago, and I started practicing, but I don't think the world was ready for it then. I'm talking 25 years ago. Uh,
Mm.
People weren't ready for the alternate remedies yet, the ones where people were working with herbs and that sort of thing. They weren't ready for
Yeah.
us yet. So it became very frustrating. And I actually went off and did something else. And I went and studied PR, and I had a PR career. And
Yeah.
then I got really sick, right? I went into hospital for a routine operation, and I got septicemia, and I ended up in ICU. And I lay there for 21 days, and all I could do was just move my eyes. And I had to lie there and think about my life and the choices I was making for my life. And God came through really, really strongly. And he said to me, Michelle, what are you doing? I've given you these gifts. Why aren't you using them? And
Mm.
I had to make a pact with God. I had to lie there and say, okay, God, I tell you what, if you let me out of this hospital bed, I will go
Mhm.
back into healing full time. And I walked out of hospital the next day, and that was a Friday. And on the
Mm.
Sunday, I came up with my next idea, my next concept. This was in
Mhm.
2017. South Africa and the
Mhm.
world was just starting to talk about CBD products, and everybody was jumping on to CBD and the healing
Mhm.
properties of the plant. And I thought, okay, that's it. That's my next idea. And I started making CBD products. I am a licensed herbalist as well, so I did it under
Mhm.
that license, and that just took off. That my oil went number one in the country.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was a crazy, crazy journey.
Yeah.
I just adopted a little black cat at the time. And when I was making the medicines, he was there with me all the time, kind of giving off his energy. So I called it Black Cat Organic Health Products. And somebody still said to me at the time, like, hey, what will you do if Black Cat Peanut Butter Tiger Brands comes after you? And I laughed and I said, oh, okay, you know what? If I get that big and I get on their radar, I'll see it as a compliment. Well, be careful what you wish for, because 11 months later, I
Be
was slapped with
careful.
a lawyer's letter from Tiger Foods, who is the biggest food producer in Africa, by the way. So you can imagine what their legal team looks like.
Yeah.
And so I changed it to Green Cat Organic Health, and I sold that business about 2 years ago, and I took a short sabbatical, and then I started to create my ultimate range, my legacy projects, right? I started to
Mm.
pull together everything that I'd learned through the years, through the decades, even
Mm.
drawing on things that I'd learned in other lifetimes, right? I started drawing on my ancient wisdom, and I
Mm.
created the range that I have now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I took off with a product that does what Ozempic does, the weight loss wonder drug, but without all the harmful side effects. And
Okay.
yeah, and the range just took off from there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So you help people lose weight in a healthy manner.
inner health, that's absolutely, that's one of the things we do, help them stabilize their hormones, we help them get their gut health under control, which is connected to their mental health.
Hmm.
So our Vedic medicine is all about the mind, the body, and the soul, and that the three are connected, right? That we cannot
Mm.
just treat the body. We've got to look at the spirit, what's going on in the spirit of the person, and then what's going on in the mind of the person, because that will play a role in what they are physically experiencing.
Okay. All right. Wow. Interesting stuff. Your story is very similar. Every time I talk to a gifted person, they always say, I always had the gift, but I didn't want to do it. Then I got sick, and then I had to go back. Like, a lot of traditional healers, they have somewhat of a similar story to that.
Yeah.
But my question to you really is, I think over the past 5 years or so, I don't know if it is tied to the COVID pandemic or what, but we saw
Uh-huh.
a rise of the spiritual world in the sense where a lot of people are
Yeah.
coming out to say, yo, I'm a sangom, I'm a traditional healer, I'm this, even a lot of celebrities, right? And obviously
Yeah.
with everything, when there's an uprising, there's controversy, some people are doing it for numbers and all that. And my thing is like, okay, this can't be a coincidence, right? Like, why is everybody just around this time, 2019, 2018, why is everybody all of a sudden coming out to say, especially like when it comes to shying away from the Western way of doing things, when it goes back to
Uh-huh.
like, ancestral way of doing things, where people are now saying, no, this is how we heal. Um, what happened there? What happened there in the past 5 years or so?
It's really interesting that you say that, because I woke up, for lack of a
Mm.
better word, in 2009, and it was a very lonely time, right? It was a different world. Then we
Mm.
didn't have the technology we have today. I thought I was losing my mind. I thought I was having a nervous breakdown. I didn't know what was going on with me. I was having my spiritual awakening. Then we saw another sort of, and these awakenings come in sort of waves, right? So you'll see
Mm.
groups of people waking up at different times. We saw another big wave in 2012. A lot of people woke up. uh,
Mm.
what happened in 2020 is people had time to go home, and they had time to think, and they had time away from their 9 to 5, and they had time to reflect. And a lot of spiritual people were activated through that. So
Mm.
their spiritual gifts were sitting dormant, sitting sleeping. And because
Yeah.
they're away from their normal 9 to 5 grind, they had time to think, they had time to go inwards, they were activated. So those of us that have been awake for longer, we are being called now to help those that have just woken up, right? Because you'll find that those people that have just woken up, although they've had the awakening, the consciousness awakening, they're now
Mhm.
trapped. They're trapped in jobs they don't like. They're trapped in relationships they don't like. They're trapped in fear, right? So we in the spiritual community are called to help those people. And there are only two types of people on the planet right now. There's only two types: those that have woken up and those that have chosen to stay asleep. Because there are those, right? They are blissfully sleeping. Nothing you can do will wake them up. That soul has chosen to stay asleep in this lifetime. So we are told to leave them, let them sleep, plant a seed, move on. We need to focus on the ones that have woken up, but now they don't know what to do with their gifts. They don't know where to go from here. how, and what we're called to do as spiritual people is we're called to monetize our gifts. So we're supposed to take it even further, right? We are
Mm,
supposed to monetize our gifts.
yeah,
So yeah, so it's interesting. So a lot of people woke up in 2020, as you say, a massive wave of people, which actually backfired on the system that was actually trying to keep us asleep, right? It actually backfired on
mm,
them.
yeah.
So
I
it's
look,
really interesting times to be alive. I always say, like, it's a privilege to be alive at this time. Your soul picked this time.
yeah. You mentioned earlier on that some of your wisdom comes from your past lives. Um,
Uh-huh.
what does that mean? Are you saying that you have reincarnated? Do you have
We
memories
all
of the
do.
past? Can you just
Yeah.
take me a bit on that so that I can understand?
Okay. Okay, so basic physics says that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, right? So that's basic physics. Even the top scientists in this world will agree that physics says energy cannot be created nor destroyed, right?
Yeah.
So you are made up of energy with the body attached, if that makes sense. So your soul is energy because you know you're made up of a mind, a body, and a soul. Now, that
Yes.
soul is energy. So it says that when the body falls away, the flesh puppet, as we call it, when the flesh puppet falls away, the soul keeps going. The soul keeps
Mm,
going because that is energy, right? So the soul will go on to have other experiences and other lives, and because the soul is on its own journey. This is just temporary, right? The
mm,
soul is on its own journey. So the soul will
yeah.
keep coming back into the human experience until it's learned everything that it needs to learn.
Yeah.
So, what we can do is just like we can heal ourselves across all of our timelines, across all of our lifetimes, we can
Yeah.
also pull our wisdom in to this timeline. In other words, things that we've learned in other
Yeah.
lifetimes, we can pull it in to this lifetime. Does that make sense, right? Because time doesn't exist, right? We're living all different lives at the same time.
So is it fair to say people that do really dumb things are new souls and the wise
Yeah.
people are also is that a real thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Think of it as school. Think of it. This planet's known as the schooling planet, right? So this is where the
Yeah.
souls come to be schooled. Some of us are in grade one, some of us have got our PhD already, but we're all in the
Mm,
same planet. Do you understand? But we all
mm.
started in grade one.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me because obviously, I follow a lot of this type of wisdom and I mean we can go on and on about um, you know, like the ancient people that built the pyramids and people from other
Uh-huh.
planets and all that. But today I just want to keep it about you, right? And I just want to because I'm getting carried away myself, so I just want to go step by step. Okay, so now take me through your career, right? What do you do?
Uh-huh.
Like, do you see people and then you're like, okay, you consult and then you create a product or you do some sort of a prescription for them? What is your day-to-day job like? What does that
Okay.
entail?
Okay, so I was doing a lot of consultations and a lot of one-on-ones and a lot of this sort of thing with patients for many, many years. And about
Hmm.
2 years ago, working with my spirit guides and my ancestors, they were saying to me, okay, that part of your career is coming to an end because instead
Hmm.
of helping 10 people a day, you need to now help 10,000 people a day, right? So
I
I was like,
see.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, okay, how am I going to do that? And they were on at me the whole time about TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. You got to get onto TikTok. And I was like, hell
Yeah.
no. I don't want anything to do with that platform. That platform's toxic. And they were the whole time, TikTok, TikTok. And eventually I succumbed and I thought, oh, let me just give this a bash. Let me just see what this is all about. And I started sharing some free health content and some free spiritual content. And my channel just blew up. I went
Hmm.
viral like overnight which I knew was supernatural, right? It wasn't me doing that.
Mm-hmm.
it, it was supernatural. So that allowed me to kind of change my business model, that I
Mm-hmm.
don't do the one-on-ones anymore. I share my content for free on TikTok, which is also my way of giving back. And
Okay.
then that directs traffic to my online store, where people can go and purchase my products. I try and
Mm-hmm.
live and embody the lifestyle that I'm selling. I'm 50
Mm-hmm.
years old. I look after myself, I stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I always say, I wouldn't take health advice from somebody that looks like shit, so I try and embody and live and like pre walk the walk with my patients. So nowadays I don't do the one-on-ones anymore, but
Mm-hmm.
what I do have is I have agents around the country that I have
Mm-hmm.
that I have upskilled, that I have taught, that are
Mm-hmm.
running my modalities, that are using my products. um, I'm about to go to Ideas Fest in the UK, so I'm taking the product internationally. I'm going to
Okay.
be in the UK, Europe. I've already started on that side. So yeah, this, you touched on it earlier. This is very much a legacy project for me. This is kind of what I want to
Mm.
leave behind. And the more people that I can help, the better. So technology has definitely helped me change my business model.
Okay. Yeah, and that's quite interesting. Like, we see that entrepreneurs that kind of like get involved in projects that connect people are the ones that tend to be more successful, right? People that create social
Mhm.
media networks, people that create e-hailing apps, like I could go on and
Yeah.
go on. And I've always
And just
wondered,
organic content. I'll tell you what people
yeah,
really respond well to on TikTok is just
mm,
organic content, right? Just from the
mm,
heart. This is me. This is my life. This is what I do. They don't want that over processed, over commercialized stuff anymore.
mm,
Where back in the day, the influencers were up here and the rest of us were down here, and there was such a
yeah,
gap. They respond really well to aspirational stuff, but stuff that they can actually achieve. So they want to, that's what I see on TikTok, is the real organic stuff is what people are responding to now. They
yeah,
don't
yeah,
they don't want that hard sell anymore.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, all right, cool. So, obviously, like I said to you earlier on that, I mean, I had a vision of just having like a spiritual platform because I realized that,
Uh-huh.
there's a lot that needs to be explored uh, as a niche content platform, and it's fairly new, but, it's these type of conversations that make us learn, right? So obviously in South Africa, we are all divided, right? So growing up in the Black community, we've always known about spirituality and we have sangomas, right? But,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't, people will say, no, white people go to church and, we also go to church, but we've got our own sangomas and then these two somehow clash. Like, okay, cool. Some people do both and it's very confusing, right? So when I see a
Uh-huh.
white person, also believing in ancestral beliefs, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. What happened? Why is it that we all believe that white people are for Jesus and they Christians and that's all they know? They don't know anything else. And then, but
Yeah.
as I get older, I learn it's actually not like that at all. Why is it like that?
My idea is, or my understanding of that is simple. Religion is man-made, spirituality is straight from God.
Hmm.
That's my summary, right? Religion is there to control other men, to control
Yeah,
man, to say you've got to do this, you got to do, if you want to go to God, you got to do this, you got to do that. Spirituality is a direct line. Like you've got a direct line. You don't need a church, you don't need a pastor. I'm not saying those
yeah,
things are wrong if people need those things, but when you become
yeah,
deeply spiritual, you find you go more inwards, right?
yeah,
And you find that you're talking to God and you're working with God. And remember, when I say God, I'm talking about the energy, right? It's not a
yeah,
man that sits in the clouds, right? God is love. He's the energy of love.
yeah,
So when you're spiritual, like you're walking that every minute of every day, and not just on a Sunday.
yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, I mean, I've been called a white sangoma many, many times for, people not knowing how to kind of, and I do work with a lot of African herbs, funny enough,
Yeah.
with permission from the ancestors. And I work a lot with ancestors as well.
Yeah.
But look, white people, again, we were undercover more, I would say, in our spirituality, right? We were doing all these things like witches, and we
Yeah.
would call them we've got other terms for them, right? So
Yeah.
what you would call a sangoma, we would call a witch or a warlock, or yeah, something like that. And these people have been hiding. They've been
Mm.
hiding all over the world, right? They've
Yeah.
been hiding who they are and what they practice. And now it's like it's safe to come out is kind of
Oh,
what we're picking up in spiritual terms. Okay, it's safe to come out, it's safe to be who you are.
yeah.
And that's why we're seeing, as you said, like all these people, like all of a sudden, where did they all come from? Well, they've been hiding.
Yeah. It's funny to me that people will call you a white sangoma. You look like a Barbie doll, you know? You don't look anything like a sangoma.
Well, I've
Yeah.
seen some beautiful sangomas actually, I have to say, and I follow quite a lot of them on TikTok. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
So,
sangomas have also gotten a bad rap of late. I mean, if you were following the Jocelyn case, the little girl that went missing, and I was quite involved in that case. Um,
yeah.
there was talk that it was sangomas, and I say, if you cross the line into black magic, you
Mm-hmm.
lose the right to call yourself a sangoma, in my opinion, right? Then you
Yeah.
just become a dark practitioner, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sangoma is a healer. Sangoma is a bringer of light, not
Yeah.
darkness.
Yeah. So
So
obviously, look, these two worlds exist. We all know there's good and then there's evil. Who's winning? Because
oh,
if
the
you read the
light's
news,
already won. We know how the story ends. We just have the privilege of being here to see it happen. We know the light's already won.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's so much happening in the world, a lot of bad things,
It's
and
war
it's like,
though, right? This is war. But when people say to me, "Hey, it's really like, oh, life is so hard at the moment," I say, "But we're in the middle of a spiritual war. Like, what do you think a war looks like? War is hard, but your soul chose to be here at this time. So that's a
mm,
privilege, right?
yeah,
Because we're getting to see the darkness taken down now. And what we're
yeah,
seeing at the moment is the dismantling, the taking and pulling apart of all those old structures that were
yeah,
designed to control us. And that looks
okay,
messy, right? Change always looks messy.
yeah. Okay, so you obviously you work a lot with wellness and all that, and
Uh-huh.
there's I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory, but there's this theory that we are being poisoned with food, with commercial food that we eat and all that, and
Yeah.
we are being convinced to kind of like stay away from a natural diet and consume all these products that are well marketed all over billboards, and people say
Uh-huh.
they are bad for us. So my question to you is that an intentional thing whereby there is a dark
Yeah.
force that is
Yeah.
sponsoring that? Or
Absolutely.
is it just a coincidence that someone figured out, hey
No.
man, if I package
No,
this sugary foods, people will buy it and I'll make money?
they know what sugar does to our bodies, right? They know, and it's hidden
Mm,
in everything. So it's no longer a conspiracy. It's now fact that the food industry is corrupt and it has got no
mm,
goodness in it. And it works hand in hand with Big Pharma. In fact, they're owned, they're one and the same. Right. So the one is
mm-hmm,
designed to make us sick, and the other one's designed to keep us sick. And it's big business. Why is it that the pharmaceutical industry is the biggest business in the world? That's not healing. You're not healing people. It's profit over
mm,
people. So, yeah, there are forces that have been working on this planet for 3,000 years that have kept this planet in darkness. And in order
yeah,
to do that, they've created what I call an inverted world. So everything that's bad for us is being
yeah,
pushed on us, and everything that's good for us we've been told is bad for us, like the sun is an example, right? The sun is
Yeah.
medicine. And they
Yeah.
want us to stay and slap all the stuff all over us. And so it's not even a theory anymore. It's fact that the pharmaceutical industry, the food industry is poisoning us. They put heavy
Yeah.
metals in everything. They put sugar in everything. They even put parasite eggs in everything. So they have been controlling us through our health, through our
Mm.
bodies.
Yeah.
And we talk in spiritual term in the spiritual communities, we talk about the strongholds that are coming down, right? It's religion, it's
Mm.
politics, it's big pharma or health, it's the food
Yeah.
industry, it's the media, it's Hollywood. And
Yeah.
those are the strongholds that we are tasked to take down.
Okay. I know this is very, very interesting. Okay. So Naturvera, like, your product, Michelle, like, what's next for you? I know you touched a bit on that you'll be going overseas quite soon. But yeah,
Yep.
what are you working on next?
So Naturvera simply means with nature from truth, with from nature with truth, from nature with
Mm-hmm.
truth. It's an all natural range because nature has everything we need. We know this, right? Every
Yeah.
chemical and hormone your body can make, we find in the plant kingdom.
Yeah.
So next, I'm just going to keep expanding this business for now.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the UK and Europe is next. I'll be there next month.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep going, and I'm traveling a lot at the moment. So I go to all these wonderful places that I want to visit, and I create
Okay.
content. And I share content with people. The content creation has become very, very important for me. I've created a community of people that almost rely on my wisdom in a way.
Okay.
So I'm going to keep growing that community. I'm getting on average sort of 1.7, 1.8 million views a month, which is
Oh, that's a lot.
awesome.
Yeah.
So that I'm going to keep growing that community. And yeah, I mean, whatever my guides tell me I need to do, I work closely with my guides and my ancestors, and they're guiding me all the time. And as a
Okay.
spiritual person, we evolve so quickly, right? We're not the same people
Yeah.
we were last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so who
Yeah.
knows? But healing is my space, right? So healing is my space because when that stronghold comes down, there's got to be something to take its place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we are also the architects of the new world. Like, what is
Okay.
it going to look like? What's the new
Yeah.
healthcare system going to look like?
Yeah. Wow. That's very interesting. Yeah. Is there anything else that I might have missed that you just might want to share?
I'm not sure, actually. I think we pretty covered a good spectrum of everything, right? I'm just going through my questions here that Clayton posed. No,
Yeah.
I think that's it, right? I mean, yeah, we can do more of these if you want to do a bit of a series, if you want to go more into the spiritual stuff, so much to unpack there on the spiritual side.
Yeah. I think,
So,
now we're out of time, but what I really want to uncover
yeah.
next is just talk about like my personal interest is just other life forms outside of planet Earth, right? So I
Oh
want to
yeah.
know
Oh yeah.
other planets. How do we get there?
Like the
Have we been there?
Pleiadians and the
Have we
Andromedans and
traveled
the
there spiritually? You know what I'm saying? Have they been here before? Are they our ancestors? The whole
absolutely.
Illuminati, like it's just yeah, that's just my next interest, and I know that's a whole another level, another topic
Okay.
that needs to be unpacked. That's just my interest. But I think maybe next time we chat, we can talk a bit about that.
Cool. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
always keen for a spiritual conversation.
Okay. I know. Thank you
All
so much. I
right.
appreciate your time. And this is
You're
this was an intro.
welcome.
The next time we're talking about aliens. Nah?
Thank you. Yeah, for
All right.
sure. For sure.
All right. Thanks.
Take
Enjoy the
care.
rest of your day.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.